We're going to open up our camera, making sure that we're setting it down, teeth up, lifting straight up.
I'm just going to go with what I got.
Get enough?
Yeah, I'm sure I did.
Straight up,
Maybe
teeth
like
up.
an over-the-shoulder shot.
Great. Next step, we are going to eject our spool with the spool eject lever. Set it off to the side after we test it. Make sure that it's nice and any problems. Great. Looks healthy. Next, we're going to close our loop formers. All right, loop formers are closed. Next, we are going to check our pressure plate, pushing it forward, making sure that it's engaged. Next, we are going to take out our film. Okay. We're going to use the guillotine to cut it. I'm just lying it right there on the floor of... Oh, make sure that when you cut it that you put the sprocket holes down so that the angle is at the right angle.
Can you say that again?
Sure. When you put the film in to cut it using the guillotine, you want to make sure that the sprocket holes are down. If the sprocket holes are up, it'll cut backwards and go the wrong way. All right? Some of these guillotines are a little tricky, so you've got to finesse them. You've got to kind of press and rotate because the blade might not be dull. Might be dull. Let me take a look at yours real quick. Go put it back in. So, for instance, here we've got one that is pretty dull. So just like with a normal pair of scissors, you gotta, you know, like when scissors are dull and they don't work, you've got to kind of like squeeze them and twist them to make them cut. Same thing with that. Just through practice, you'll get the hang of it. Next, we are going to mount our daylight spool on the feed spindle. Right. Once it's mounted, we're gonna use the nubby and pull the clampy aside so that we can set our film down into the slot so that the sprocket holes can engage the sprocket teeth. I don't know if clampies is the technical term, but that's what I call them because that's what they do. I wonder if there is a name for this. Extra credit for anybody who can find that. All right. Great, we've got our film in there. Let's go ahead and give it a little DJ test to make sure that it's actually engaged. There we go. Looks solid. Now, looking over one more time, our loop formers are closed, our pressure plate's engaged. I think we're ready to go. Run it all the way through and give yourself about a foot. Great. Excellent. So we're loaded. Now go ahead and take up reel. Slide it into that slot and then roll it on generously. Because the last thing you want to do is to kind of skimp here and then it slips out and then it doesn't wind correctly and jams your film. All right, wind it up, nice and tight, and they put the take-up spool back on the take-up spindle. Make sure it's nice and solid. Great. Next, we open the loop formers. Very good. By pressing that button. Great. And we check the registration, test the registration. Great. Everything looks good, so we're happy. We close up our camera. One thing you can do at this point is, just as a safety precaution, once you put it back on, if you tap around the edge, see how, if there's a lot of movement, that's something you might want to get checked out, just so that light doesn't leak in there. Some people live by taping the camera, meaning what you do is you take tape and you tape all around here to prevent light leaks. If you're going to do that, the only tape you can use is what's called black paper camera tape. If you use duct tape or gaff tape or anything like that, it's going to gunk up and rip off all of this pleather, and that's no good. So if you need to tape your camera, you're going to use black paper camera tape. All right? Great. Next, we flip it up onto our hands. We run it until we're at 0. Let's imagine we did that. Great. And now we're ready to go. Let's go ahead and do a short end. So we're done, everything went great. We've run our film through, make sure to run it a little bit more, good, perfect. All right, go ahead and open it up. We're in a nice dim space now, it's not as bright as it is. Right up, teeth up, right. Now we're gonna use our spool eject lever, pop that up, break it up the feed side. Okay, and here's where the practice comes in. Good. All right, once we're good with that, that one gets tucked away in an extra box that we're going to use later on. Or right on there, short end, 70